is the Wrestlebread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 44 of the Wrestlebread Podcast. And I have to say, unfortunately, I was right about a prediction I made almost 10 episodes ago. I said that Bray Wyatt and Becky Lynch are going to lose their titles this year, and that with one of those losses, it's going to piss a lot of people off. And damn it if I am not right. We're going to go over everything that is that Super Showdown, one of the most disappointing events so far this year. And it's not disappointing because of the winners and losers. It's just really how everything went down. So starting off with the pre-show match, and I have to admit, I read spoilers online while I was at work, and then I came home and I watched some of it, and I admit some of the matches I kind of skimmed through, so it won't be a complete type of review of every single match, but I got the gist of what happened. So starting off with the pre-show, we had the Viking Raiders versus the OC. I didn't realize that this match was on the event, but had I known, I would have predicted the OC to win because they won that best tag team in the world trophy the last time they were there. And the OC did win. The first match on the main event was the gauntlet match for the, I forgot the name of the trophy, but it's for a trophy that a lot of people on Twitter was saying looks like a trophy from Nickelodeon. First off, I had predicted that either Bobby Lashley or R-Truth was going to win, and starting out the match was R-Truth and Bobby Lashley, which means that my prediction was completely wrong. But we had Truth and Bobby Lashley starting off the match. Towards the end of the match, Lashley mistakenly banged his head on the turnbuckle, and then R-Truth went for the roll-up pin and won. Bobby Lashley attacked R-Truth afterwards, and then Andrade comes down. Andrade apparently bumped heads with R-Truth and fell down, and then R-Truth fell on top of him and defeated Andrade. Okay. Next comes out Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan got some offense in, and then his cage was knocked down to the floor. Eric Rowan got very upset, hit R-Truth with the steps, and was disqualified. Then out comes AJ Styles. AJ Styles gets some offense in, and he uses the calf crusher to get R-Truth to tap out, and he wins the match. Afterwards, Rey Mysterio's music hit. Rey Mysterio does not come out. AJ Styles like, oh, where is he? And then you see that he was attacked backstage by the OC. AJ Styles says, I'm declared the winner, ring the bell, I won. And then the ring announcer said that Rey Mysterio has 10 seconds to make it to the ring or else the match will be forfeited. Then the cameras go backstage and you see Luke Gallows on the floor in pain, and then you see Carl Anderson gets tossed next to Luke Gallows. And then we see black boots and a black trench coat. Now, before this all happened, the crowd was chanting Undertaker because the rumors came out that Undertaker was over there. So obviously we knew, okay, this is the spot for the Undertaker. So the Undertaker comes out. I love the Undertaker, but that was a very long entrance. I'm all for it. I have to say I'm all for it, but it was a very long entrance. He had on his classic look, the black hat, the black trench coat, the hair. He comes into the ring, brings up the lights. AJ Styles gets upset, starts pointing at him, goes to turn to the ref, and then he goes to try to attack The Undertaker. The Undertaker grabs AJ Styles and choke slams him. Hat stays on. And then goes and pins him. 1, 2, 3. and The Undertaker wins this trophy. It don't make sense to me, and I like The Undertaker. Everyone should know I am an Undertaker mark. I'm a ride or die Undertaker fan till the end. But this does not work for The Undertaker. The Undertaker still had on the trench coat and the hat, so this was like a quick, about 10-second match between these two. The Undertaker walks out, goes to the trophy, looks at it, keeps on going, says, F that trophy. He gets all the way to the top of the ramp, eventually turns around, and then does his one-handed fist in the air as well. I get that they want to now have this feud between AJ Styles and The Undertaker, and I know that the Saudi Prince loves these former legends, but Undertaker winning this trophy really doesn't do much for him. It really doesn't. But it's still good to see The Undertaker, and I know that, it doesn't make it much sense, but it's still good to see The Undertaker. That's my cat. Trying to be a co-host right now. After that match, we had The New Day versus Miz and Morrison. This was a good match. Towards the end of the match, Kofi was in the ropes, or he went towards the ropes, and John Morrison hit him with the chair, and so we have new tag team champions of Miz and Morrison, so I have got another prediction wrong. This was a pretty good match. Morrison and Kofi Kingston seems to have good chemistry together, and I am wondering what's next for Miz and Morrison now. What is the plans for WrestleMania? After that, we had Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. Of course, they continue to have these good matches, but unfortunately for this event, the match really wasn't that good. A big thing that played into it was the fact that the crowd was absolutely dead for this match. Probably don't know much about these two because everyone, I don't know how it is over in Saudi Arabia, but the crowd was really dead for these two. And so it took away a bit from the match. And truthfully, they didn't really need to have this match on this event, especially because now it kind of kills a little bit their rivalry. And I don't know what they're going to do from here on. But, however, Angel Garza won the match, and it seems like this feud may continue. Next up, we had Seth Rollins. Oh, and a bit thing that was a little that I noticed too, that Andrade is back. I don't know how long ago he was suspended for the wellness policy, I think it was, but it's very interesting that he is on this show. I have to double check when he got suspended, but I could have sworn it wasn't that long ago. Maybe it's been 3 weeks. But I heard that the reason why Andrade was suspended was because he couldn't get to where the test needed to be taken or something like that. And so it wasn't that he took something, it was that he couldn't take the test properly. That's what I heard. I may have that information incorrect, but that's what I heard. So we have Seth Rollins and Murphy versus the Street Profits. Montez Ford is awesome. He is doing these frog splashes from outer space. There was a lot of good chemistry with Montez Ford and Murphy. I keep wanting to say Buddy Murphy, but I know that's not his name. Towards the end of the match, Dawkins was stuck in the ropes. Rollins did his curb stomp, and Rollins and Murphy retained their titles. After that, we have Dolph Ziggler versus Mansoor. And originally, Robert Roode was ringside, but he got kicked out from ringside. This was actually a lengthy match, but it wasn't very exciting. Dolph Ziggler had a lot of offense in. Of course, it was to keep the crowd invested in the match and kind of root for the babyface. The classic type of in-ring psychology. And Mansoor won, but I didn't like the ending. He went to do this sliced bread into a DDT. The commentators really sold it as a great maneuver, but it really didn't do much for Mansoor. It doesn't really seem like, and I had to watch his match against Cesaro, it doesn't really seem like he has an actual finisher. Now, this match wasn't as good as the match in Cesaro, but we all know whenever Mansoor is in Saudi that he's going to win. So now he is 3-0 in his hometown. And afterwards, of course, he got the mic, he spoke to the crowd, he thanked them, and, he got a lot of pyro from that too. After that, we had Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet. Now, this week I was on the Wrestling Court with Julian and Rob Bass. Be sure to check out that episode as well. And we predicted how long the match was going to be. I, like a fool, said under 10 minutes. Rob, I believe, said under 5. Julian said 40 seconds. And I was hoping that there would at least be some offense. We all knew that Brock Lesnar was going to win this match. But I was hoping there was at least going to be some bit of offense, because we're so close to WrestleMania. Let's build up everyone. Let's give everyone some bit of offense. So whoever they're going against or whatever they're doing at WrestleMania will kind of be a bit more exciting. And a lot of times they like to say that Brock Lesnar has a bit of struggle with the smaller guys and that he likes wrestling the smaller guys, and the smaller guys normally get a bit of offense in, similar to AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan and of course Seth Rollins. But this match, it felt like Brock Lesnar was like, I'm not doing that shit. So the match starts. First of all, cameraman was awful in this pay-per-view because you didn't see the slow-mo shot of Miz and Morrison. And then for some reason, they cut the camera wide for the start of this match. And you see Ricochet run towards Brock Lesnar, jump in midair to do something, and then you just see him get swatted down like a fly. Now, of course, they replayed it after the match to say, hey, this is what happened that the cameraman missed. But there was no offense from Ricochet. Ricochet got 3 German suplexes, and I saw Ricochet's soul left his body on one of those German suplexes. It was very dominant of Lesnar. Of course, they got to build up Lesnar for Drew McIntyre, which don't make sense. They did it for Royal Rumble. We already know how dominant he is. How many squash matches do you need to prove that you're dominant? He picked up Ricochet at one point by his arm and picked him up like he was a toy. It was just not really disturbing to watch, but it was like, dang, man, you kind of felt a bit bad for Ricochet. But after 3 German suplexes, he picked up Ricochet. He did the Rey Mysterio spot where he grabbed Ricochet by the neck, tossed him in the air pretty much, and have him landed on his shoulders for a F5. And that was it. 90 seconds of match. And it was over. And there was no type of offense for Ricochet, and it just knocks Ricochet down a bit. Especially before him going against Brock Lesnar, he had that bit versus the OC. And I don't know. I don't get the decisioning sometimes with this place. So after that match, we had Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin in a cage match. This match, I started to watch a little bit, but I noticed how boring it was, and I realized I'm sick of this feud, so I kind of skipped some of this. I saw that Roman Reigns almost won by escaping the cage, but Baron Corbin had his vest. Roman Reigns did a couple of Superman punches towards the end, and then one with, I think he had a chain around his hand, and then did the Superman punch, and that was the end of the match. He goes up the ramp, bunch of pyro, like WrestleMania type of pyro. The fans were really into the match, it seems like, and that was that. And I'm hoping that's the end of the feud. It seems like that's the end of the feud, and I'm hoping that we don't have to go through Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin again now. After that match, we had Bayley versus Naomi, which I thought would be similar to the first women's match, but this had a lot more action than the previous match. The fans were chanting, "This is awesome" again, which is very good to see. I don't think any water bottles was thrown at this time around, but it's had a very unique ending, but it was a lot of action, and I was kind of happy for it. This was one of the better matches, I have to say, on the card. They had a unique ending where, of course, because they were women, they had to wear these big t-shirts, and they were covered from neck to toe with Bayley was wearing all black, and then she had a blue shirt underneath, where Naomi was wearing neon colors with a bright green shirt. And towards the end of the match, Bayley took Naomi's legs, crossed them, and tucked one of her feet under the shirt, so Naomi's leg was stuck. And Bayley grabbed Naomi's face and planted her face first into the mat, and that was the end of the match. 1, 2, 3. So this seems like maybe this will continue. I don't know what they're going to do now. I don't know what plans they have for Bayley for WrestleMania. I'm sure, hopefully, if the wrestlers get back in time, we may see it tonight at I'm about to say SummerSlam, for SmackDown as well. And then we come to the main event and the most talked about match and moment of tonight, and one of the things that, I predicted was going to happen. And soon as Bray Wyatt was going after the title, I said that it was too soon to put the title on him, and that they're going to paint themselves in a corner, because once you put the title on Bray Wyatt, eventually you're going to want to take that title off of him. And I felt as though when they do it, it's going to make a lot of people upset, because it probably wouldn't have been the right person, or it wouldn't have made sense. And through this title reign, we had, he was booked that it was very impossible to take him down. He went through a dozen curb stomps. He went through Daniel Bryan. He went through a lot of people in these feuds, and he was impossible to take down until last night. Goldberg comes in. Of course, he had his 4 security guards to walk him to the curtain, and he comes to the ring. I noticed he didn't headbutt the door this time, so he was very conscious during the match. Who knows? Probably not. He comes down. Bray Wyatt comes out with a kick-ass entrance, I have to say. And he was wearing the custom title. And last time when I had predicted maybe Daniel Bryan would win the title, as soon as he came out with that custom title, I said, oh, Daniel Bryan's not winning this match. And he comes out with the custom title again, and I'm like, I don't know. But I figured that, WWE wouldn't do what I think they wouldn't do, and Goldberg comes in, he does a spear, Bray Wyatt is down, then he kicks out at 1, he does the mandible claw, Goldberg gets out of it, then Goldberg does 3 spears, and then Bray Wyatt, I believe he either kicked out or he immediately did the mandible claw, and someone said that during that second mandible claw, Goldberg's tooth got knocked out, but I don't know how. I didn't watch it back, nor do I want to watch it back to see what actually happened. And then people said that Goldberg did the jackhammer, but that wasn't a jackhammer. That was a suplex. He hasn't been able to pull off that jackhammer probably since WCW, maybe as soon as he came into WWE, but he hasn't been able to do that jackhammer for a very long time. And then 1, 2, 3. And it was over in 2 minutes, under 3 minutes actually. And the crowd, of course, cheered because of where they're at. And Twitter blew up. And I was at work when I hopped on Twitter. And I knew what I was doing. So I knew I was spoiling myself. And people were very upset that Goldberg won. People were very upset about Bray Wyatt losing in the way he did. They were saying he was buried. They were saying that he is dead, People were saying he's fine. But a reminder, we said that before for Bray Wyatt. I don't know what they're going to do with The Fiend now. Like I said, it was too soon to have him go after the championship, especially when they already know what they want to do for WrestleMania. And now we are about less than a month away from WrestleMania, and the current champions are Brock Lesnar and Goldberg on the men's side. So let that sink in. And I said this on Twitter. We are now paying for what happened last year at WrestleMania. We got what we wanted. I mean, there were people who complained about it, but we got ultimately what we wanted. We made Kofi Kingston a champion when he wasn't supposed to be. We made Becky Lynch win at WrestleMania. We had Seth Rollins defeat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And we got what we wanted. And because we changed things and we put over, especially Becky and Kofi, we're going to pay for it now. And there's a rumor that they did this because they didn't want Bray Wyatt to be champion to go against Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns wouldn't be cheered. There's rumors that they did this because they want Goldberg to have the title so that it could be, Goldberg's name is, a lot more attractive on the marquee than The Fiend. And we had Roman Reigns, who was interviewed afterwards of who he wants to face. I think it was afterwards or earlier that day, of who he wants to face between Bray Wyatt and Goldberg. And he said, Bray Wyatt, no offense to Goldberg, but Goldberg has had his time and I'm looking towards the future. I want to face people who, The Fiend has built himself up over this past year and he really did a lot of good things and he wanted to look into the future. Well, sir, we're in the past. I don't know what year we are in. We had MVP going against Rey Mysterio a little bit while ago. We got Edge coming back and we had Brock Lesnar and Goldberg as champions going into WrestleMania. So I was hoping they wouldn't put the title on Goldberg because I knew it wouldn't have been a very good match the way that they put the belt on, because we all know, yes, Goldberg is 53 years old. He can get gassed pretty easily. So it makes sense that this match wouldn't last that long. But I was hoping it wouldn't have been so... It wasn't exactly a very one-sided, but it was kind of one-sided. Because you had Goldberg who's just like, no fear, I'm going to do all the spears that I want type of thing. And there wasn't like with Seth Rollins, there was a bit of a story where, he was increasingly becoming angrier and desperate. I mean, it took a bunch of curb stomps and a mallet and chair shots to the head to finally get Bray Wyatt down. Whereas though it took a half-ass suplex to take him down here. And I don't know. I was very angry yesterday, and that's why I'm recording this morning. Because if I recorded last night, this episode would have had a lot more curse words and a lot more anger behind it. But I had to really think about it, and it was time that we cashed the check, to say, for what we did last year at WrestleMania. And I said it last year, that we're eventually going to pay for it, and I thought it was with the way that Kofi Kingston lost the title. But I come to realize we screwed up WrestleMania. So we have to pay a lot more than that. And so because we took something precious that they wanted to do for WrestleMania, they probably wanted Ronda Rousey to win at WrestleMania. They probably wanted to do something else with the title at WrestleMania with Daniel Bryan. But we screwed it all up. And because we pretty much screwed up WrestleMania, we have to really pay for it. And so I'm not as upset this morning. I know people are saying they're going to cancel the subscription, stuff like that. And it's like, it's WrestleMania season. Let's be honest. Everyone's going to tune in. People are going to still go onto Twitter to talk about what's going on at WrestleMania. I probably won't go to Elimination Chamber because, I'll see what gets announced next week, but it doesn't really seem like it's going to be a very exciting Elimination Chamber. We know that 9 times out of 10, Brock Lesnar may not be on the card. Goldberg might not be on the card. Maybe they'll appear, especially since it's in Philly. Maybe Paul Heyman will appear and cut a promo for us. But I don't know. I don't see, me paying $30, $40 for a ticket at last minute and really get my money's worth. So that's it for the Super Showdown of the year. And now I'm going to turn to AEW for predictions for their pay-per-view event Saturday night, AEW Revolution. So the first match, which is going to be on the pre-show, is SCU. Let me pull up the card so I can actually go through it correctly. We have a pre-show match of SCU versus the Dark Order. So I'm going to go with the Dark Order. I feel like something's going to happen here. Maybe it could be that SCU wins this one. It doesn't look like it's any type of stipulations or anything. But I'm going to go with the Dark Order. I feel like maybe the other members of the Dark Order will interfere. Maybe they will tease of Chris Daniels joining the Dark Order. If you watch any of the Being the Elite series on YouTube, they had Christopher Daniels have a dream that he was wearing the Dark Order t-shirt. And so, I don't know, maybe they'll tease him joining because they've been trying very hard to get him to join the Dark Order. Or maybe we will find out who is the higher power of the Dark Order. A lot of people are thinking that it could be Matt Hardy, it could be Raven, it could be a lot of other people. And I feel like maybe it will be revealed here at this pay-per-view event versus an episode of AEW Dynamite. Next up, we have Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. I'm going to go with Darby Allin because he is so over, and I feel like this is a revenge match for Darby because Sammy Guevara got involved in his match and he got his throat hit with his skateboard. And so he is trying to, get his revenge on what they did to him, especially to a skateboard. Then after that, we have, in a match I didn't even know was happening, Orange Cassidy versus Pac. Of course, Pac is going to win this one 100% unless the best friends are ringside and they do something to help Orange Cassidy win. I can see that happening. But I'm going to go with Pac here. And I'm going to predict that whoever Pac is going to feud with next is going to probably appear in this match. But the crowd is going to be so over with Orange Cassidy. People are going to, of course, really would love to see whatever Orange Cassidy does. They're going to oversell his kicks and everything too. After that, we have Jake Hager versus Dustin Rhodes. If this match was in WWE, a lot of people would crap all over it. But it's very interesting with the things that, AEW does now. This is kind of an interesting match. This is Jake Hager's first match, I believe. I'm like 100% sure this is his first match. And we've seen what happened between these two over the past couple of weeks, months, probably, with Jack Hager smashing Dustin Rhodes' hand and arm in the car a while back. And so I'm going to go with Jake Hager on this one. I feel as though since this is his first match and he's in the inner circle, that he definitely has to win. And Dustin Rhodes is the type of person that would, still put on a good match and lose, but still won't come out, any type of damage to his reputation or his momentum, I should say. After this is the long-awaited match of Cody versus MJF. I'm going to go with MJF on this one. As much as it would make sense storyline-wise for Cody to finally win, I feel like this feud is so hot that they want this to continue. And Cody Rhodes is the type of wrestler who would lose and still would be loved and still get more momentum as that underdog babyface. I feel like Wardlow may interfere in this match. Maybe MJF will have another ally that will interfere in this match. Who knows? But I feel like MJF is going to get the win on this one just so he can continue to shit on Cody. And this feud will continue to the next pay-per-view event, which I think could possibly be Double or Nothing in May. Next up, we have the AEW Tag Team Championships. Kenny Omega and Paige versus the Young Bucks. I'm going to go with the Young Bucks here because I feel like we have been getting a lot of storyline with Adam Page with wanting to separate himself from the Elite, and he's been doing a lot more drinking. And I feel like this loss is going to come from something that he did, whether he's not paying attention or he's drinking and the drinking impaired him or something like that. And so I'm going to say that the Young Bucks are going to win, and it's going to start kind of a bit of tension between Adam Page and Kenny Omega. After that, we have the AEW Women's Championship, Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander. I'm going to go with Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose just won this title, and it really wouldn't make sense for her to lose this title so quickly. I feel like this is going to be a pretty good match. Chris Statlander does have a lot of promise, and Nyla Rose is definitely a beast. And they tease that we may have Big Swole, who may get into the mix here, because she did come out when Nyla Rose was saying that she break bitches. But I'm going to go with Nyla Rose. It's too soon for her to lose this matchup. And then finally, for the AEW Championship, we have Chris Jericho versus Jon Moxley. I'm going to go with Chris Jericho on this one. Not saying that Jon Moxley may not win or doesn't deserve to win, but Chris Jericho is very over right now, and he's very over as the champion. And I feel like he should win. Maybe he will win due to the Inner Circle. Maybe there'll be a new recruit. Maybe something will happen with Jon Moxley. But I feel like Chris Jericho should win because he's very over as champion, and that it will definitely continue. He's very good in his role as champion, as the face of the company as well. Not saying that Jon Moxley should never get the championship. I feel as though it's not really his time. I feel as though Jon Moxley should continue, maybe to continue feud with Chris Jericho, or to maybe feud with someone else. What I like about what AEW kind of does is that whenever someone loses a championship match, it's not the end of the line for them. They continue on to a feud that is just as good, if not better than the feud they was just in, if that makes sense. But I feel like this is going to be a pretty good pay-per-view event. I believe this is one of their events where you got to pay money for. Yeah. In the US, we have to buy it on Bleacher Report Live for $50. So this is going to be a good pay-per-view event. Whenever they make people pay money, they normally put on good events. The free ones, like I think it was Fight for the Fallen and Fyter Fest, wasn't as good. Now it's because those was more of the free events. But whenever they have these pay-per-view events where people pay $50, they normally put on something good. Now, me, myself, I love my streams, so I may not be paying $50, but I do plan to go to AEW Dynamite when it comes back to Philly in April. And I don't know, right now there are seats where I could be camera side, so if I am able to get those seats, be on the lookout for me. I'm not going to have a sign because, I don't know, I used to do signs when I was younger, but now it's just like you put up the sign, you're blocking people behind you, and yeah, you get to be on TV, especially if you have a really good sign. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'll be doing a sign or anything. But that's it for the Wrestlebread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Jaydee Talks. That's JAYDEE Talks. And be sure to follow the podcast at Wrestlebread. I'll be coming out with the next episode either Monday or Tuesday for a recap of everything that happened this week with Raw, AEW Dynamite, NXT, SmackDown, and the aftermath of AEW Revolution as well. Be sure to hit me up. Let me know your thoughts, your predictions of AEW Revolution as well. And Facebook and Twitter reminded me that a year ago was the birth of the idea of the Wrestlebread podcast. And of course, my first episode ended up in April after WrestleMania, right around the WrestleMania time. But this is the 1 year anniversary that I created the idea of Wrestlebread on Twitter and Facebook. So it's been a very interesting year. And I'm going to go more into that probably next week, but definitely once I hit the official 1 year of the first episode of Wrestlebread as well. So until next time, guys, peace.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Check us out at Wrestlebread.com and subscribe to Wrestlebread on YouTube for more breaking news and JD's opinions.